this session. And if you have attended our webinars before, you might have seen Sarah, the cheerful person, always smiling, asking the right questions. If you have attended the Craig webinar, you would have seen her. So that was the last webinar, I think, Sarah. What do you think?
Yes, that was the last one with Craig, which was so funny. I remember he told a funny story at the beginning, but we dove into all of the nitty gritty of SEO. But I'm so excited to see this room. I'll start. I'm from Houston, Texas, but today I'm in LA. I'm in LA for the week, but I see we have San Francisco, Venezuela, Denmark, Portugal, Seattle. Oh, I see some LA folks in here. Netherlands, Colombia. Yes, this is going to be so great with such a great mix of people. So welcome everyone. First, one of the things I want to make sure that we do is answer your questions. We want to answer the questions that are helpful for you in terms of SEO, AI, and how to utilize these tools, amazing tools available to us to help supercharge our SEO efforts. We're all looking to level up and grow, right? So make sure that you ask questions throughout the webinar. We're going to be sure to answer all of your questions. Just make sure that you put those in the Q&A section. And I think we have a giveaway of some sort today, some type of promotion. Is that right, Manak?
Absolutely. We have multiple giveaways and contests. And since you already spoke about giveaways, why don't we start this webinar with a bang, with a giveaway?
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Alrighty. And I would like to start this webinar. This is going to be a unique kind of giveaway where when you come into the room first, you win. And I've been looking at all the answers, all the people who are joining in from different places. And the very first person to join us today as a listener is Simon from Panama. And congratulations, Simon. You have won a Right Sonic unlimited plan. We have never done an unlimited plan giveaway. So congratulations, Simon.
Oh my gosh,
Please.
Simon,
Yeah.
congrats. You're going to love the unlimited plan. I'm on the unlimited plan and it helps with everything. I do all my blog writing in there, everything from podcast interview questions to headlines to social content. Because gosh, sometimes you're just racking your brain for so much. So Simon, congrats. You're going to have to take that.
Yes, Simon, please drop in your email in the chat so that we can get you your prize as soon as possible. And guys, this means that you need to show up early like Simon in our next sessions because you will get a chance to win unlimited plans like this.
Oh my gosh, we have an AI assistant in the chat and in the webinar. This is a first. Okay,
this is a first. This is truly a first.
Chat. Brooke M's AI assistant is here helping her take notes in the webinar. Brooke, I love it. You get all the points for being extra in AI. We love it.
That is interesting. This is first. And I'm thinking, why didn't we ever try this feature inside Right Sonic? A meeting assistant.
I love it. So Simon's talking about the AI article writer and how it really helps with writing SEO articles. And I totally second that. And one of the big things I find even is I can start from, one specific prompt, like I'm looking in the buyer journey. I know that I'm creating top of funnel content and I can start from one idea. And then from the prompting, I end up getting, you can automatically create 4 or 5 different blogs from that one central idea. I'm like, oh, this is a game changer. On top of the fact that it already will help me write, it's the idea that too, the prompting, it can get so good that it informs you even past the level of which you're at. Like, oh, I didn't think to ask that question. I didn't think to include that particular thing. So yeah, totally agree, Simon.
Interesting. And Sarah, what are we discussing today?
So today we are talking about how AI supercharges our SEO efforts. So, SEO is search engine optimization. We all need it. We all have to figure out whether we're content creators, whether we're running businesses, whether we're marketing professionals, we all have to figure out SEO because we all want to be on the front page of Google. That's the truth, right? But what we find is that with content and the increasing speed of, content online in general, and the fact that most buyers have shifted to buying online specifically. With the rapid increase of that transition, we now have to produce at a faster rate, good quality, and at a higher speed than we ever just had to in the past. So today it's all about using AI to supercharge our SEO efforts. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear from everyone in the chat. What are some of the challenges that you are looking to solve today with this webinar? And what about you, Manank? What do you think about that overall kind of just topic point?
I have my own thoughts on this. Since I'm part of Team Sonic, handling the community and socials, I get to hear a lot of opinion and a lot of questions still around, will Google accept my AI content? And the second one, the most common one is, will Google detect my AI content? And to answer that, I would say, yeah, Google is smart enough. They've been in this business before since many years, and they are smart enough to detect the AI content. But the real question that you need to ask is, even if I'm generating content using AI that is helping me write more articles, better content, etc., is this content piece really useful to the audience that I'm targeting? If it's not, if you're generating hundreds of articles per day using AI just to create those hundreds of pages, then Google is not going to rank your blog, because you're probably spamming it, and Google knows that.
Yeah.
And that's something, that's the thin line you got to maintain. Use AI like an assistant to your existing content. Reread it, fact check it with a human. Although Sonic produces fact check content, non-plagiarized and SEO optimized, but there are certain things AI might do things wrongly, and that is the truth. So you just have to check it again and not randomly just hit publish just because AI has generated. So that's exactly what I would recommend the users. And we've been using Sonic AI for our own Sonic blog as well. You can search it on Ahrefs and etc. You would see the traffic coming in. We've been pretty successful with our content marketing efforts, and we urge you to do the same as well. So that's my opinion on the AI content. And I see so many comments saying,
yes, so many great questions coming in. And, you know, for me, I work in the production and media space. So you're talking about podcasts, both audio and video, where we have to rapidly create scripts, research. You then have to create promotional social media clips and things like that. And so I see, you know, Caitlin has a great question here about, like, if you have X amount of like human time for a project, where is the best time spent? And I think, Manank, you hit on two really great things. One is that AI does not replace your domain expertise. So you are always going to have to spend your human hours developing your expertise, knowing your product really well, knowing your service really well. For me, knowing my interviewee really well, right? But there is this, but from that point, AI is your friend. Once you know your top line message, your top line keywords, and even maybe 2 or 3 subtopics, that's where you tag your friend AI in, like a Right Sonic, and you say, okay, this is my main topic. Here's what I'm trying to do. I need to write a blog to help a buyer understand X, Y, Z, you know, or however you would prompt it, right? But anyway, so yes, that's where you tap AI in. Once you've developed the domain expertise that you know is going to serve your customer well, then you have AI help you to write the in-between pieces and ask AI to suggest things, because that's the thing. It's computing so fast, much faster than our brains can work. So it just supercharges your brain with different ideas, even subtopics. I've asked it for additional guests based on a guest, and it will find people that I have no idea who they were prior to using AI. That's the beauty of it. So that's where you tap in and you get that supercharge to your brain. And then even then, another human element is I always put on the back end an editor. So you got human time up front, human type on the back end, but everything in between, AI is totally helping you maximize both your time, your creativity, and just your general output.
Absolutely, Sarah. And I totally agree with you. And looks like it's time to welcome the guest for today.
He's here. Yay. Okay. We are so excited to have Eli Schwartz with us. So I'm going to welcome him into the room. And I want you guys to blow it up in the comments. Make Eli feel the welcome here.
I would suggest my team refer to make Eli as the admin, our panelist.
Oh, gotcha. There we are. Oh, I love it. Yes, yes. Oh, I see so many great questions. Don't worry. Okay, so guys, I want to remind you as we're waiting on Eli to join here, can you make sure that you type your questions in the Q&A section instead of the chat? Just because I don't want them to get missed. I don't want to miss any of these questions. They're all so great. So yes, just make sure that in the comments that you're asking in the Q&A section, not just the chat. What about, so what are some apprehensions? I see one of the apprehensions for AI, and Manang mentioned it before, that, you know, AI generated content and plagiarism is a concern. What are some other concerns that everyone here in the room has in regards to AI? Because I'd love to answer some questions along that as well. What are some of the challenges that you're finding with AI or that you're concerned with that make you maybe not venture into utilizing AI tools?
Absolutely. Please ask your questions in the Q&A section. And we also have certain users who ask the question beforehand, who have sent us their questions. So we would be taking those questions as well. And Eli would be answering those questions too, because you guys have sent in a ton of questions on our form. I can just look at and we'll be answering those questions first. So let me quickly invite Eli as a panelist. I see that Eli has raised hands. So Rifa, could you please invite Eli as a panelist on this session? But when I read those comments, especially from Colleen, especially from Sony, I'm worried it sounds too robotic. And Colleen says, I'm worried it might be repetitive. And for that, we have algorithms in place from Writesonic that doesn't make it sound robotic or repetitive. It is completely SEO optimized and has been trained as well. So we are trying to fix that problem beforehand. So if you're still facing that problem, we would love to know, because our support team is on standby on this webinar, helping you to solve your queries.
So
in these posts like this, what is the ratio of AI content? We're going to answer them all. Somebody is looking at our Writesonic blog. Awesome.
I love it. So, you know, one of the things too I've noticed with prompting is that getting a message here. Inez, Sarub, it looks like they're raising their hand. Manang, do I go ahead and let them in?
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, we are seeing all your questions from Monica, questions from Hemandira, questions from Virenchi, questions from Ashutosh, questions from Yusuf, who's an interpreter. I've been reading your text, Yusuf. Questions from Charles, questions from Ronald. Awesome. Please keep them coming, because we're going to answer them all. And we should give the panelists the ability to share their screens and turn on their videos.
One of the things I'd love to take a shot at that question too, while we're waiting, about the like AI sounding too robotic. One of the things that's really helped, especially because I'm in the conversational kind of business here, is that you have to prompt with tone. So you have different tones, right? Friendly, you know, warm, matter of fact, strong, straightforward, these things. So learning to incorporate tones into your prompts, sad, angry, mad, right, will help kind of AI know what you're going for. Grammarly is great about that, right? Your tone is friendly or optimistic or things like that. So if you use some of those adjectives in your prompting, then I find it really helps. And I see we have Eli in the room. Eli, you missed your welcome. I'm so sorry. All the comments blew up when we told him you were coming.
I saw the comments. I was logged in as your colleague, Sorab. I don't know. I think I have multiple Zoom accounts, and I wasn't able to be a panelist. I was just able to be a listener. So really, really honored to be here. I'm sure you said everything that needs to be said, and everyone can go to sleep. I think you guys, it's late at night, right?
So I'm joining in from India, and that's why it's late at night. But Sarah is joining in from LA, so it should be the similar time zone that you're in.
And Ronald's in Venezuela. I see we got people all over. So amazing.
Yes, we've got a global audience here. So Eli, we are going to jump right in. First, obviously everyone might know who you are, but I'd love for you, just for the people who may not, to fill us in a little bit about your background as a marketer and as an SEO expert.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone went on Bing and binged me. But for those that didn't, I wrote a book called Product-Led SEO. It was an unintentional success. I wrote this book about my approach towards SEO, which I believe is SEO is a marketing channel. You should only be doing SEO if there is an SEO user, if there's someone that's going to be searching for your business. And then I wrote about the process of how you go about, if someone is searching for your business, how do you build an SEO channel for them to find you and for you to generate revenue from this channel. So I wrote this book as honestly as possible, because I didn't think anybody would read it. I thought my family would read it, maybe my potential clients would read it, as I handed them for free. And I'm so grateful that thousands of people have read it and hundreds of people have reviewed it. So I'm a full-time consultant. Aside from writing this book, I wrote the book to support my consulting business. I work with companies and helping them to understand what they should be doing to build an organic channel. And if there's potential for an organic channel, how do they go ahead and implement it? We typically work with later stage, larger companies where it's a lot more complex. So I find that with a later stage, large company, the obvious thing to someone is, well, let's update the homepage. At a small company, you just log on to WordPress and you update the homepage. At a larger company, that's a 9-month process. So that's typically what I work with. And when it comes to SEO, the obvious thing is not so obvious for them. And it's really a longer process of how do we do it. But of course, the best thing about working with a larger company, which has a large footprint, is when they go ahead and implement something, there is a lot of revenue they can unlock. So a smaller business, and that's always the catch-22, a smaller business can go ahead and do something really quickly, but they don't see any impact from it. A larger company takes really long to do it, but when they do it, they unlock a lot of revenue. So that is what I do as a growth consultant and advisor. And again, like I talk to probably 75% of the companies I talk to, I don't think SEO is a fit. And then from my marketing background, I help them to understand what would be a fit and guide them towards the best people I know that could do something like that. And, I've been full-time consultant almost for 5 years. And through this process and through being a consultant, I've met some amazing agencies and amazing freelancers and amazing full-time employees. And I've helped many companies just find the right employee from my network to really who they should do and how they should work on marketing. And I'm working on another book, which will come out in a couple of years, on this marketing process, which is broader than just SEO. But for today, I think we're talking just about SEO. We're talking about AI. I had this post on over the weekend on AI. Most people don't realize that the first paper on a neural network, which is neural network underpins AI, because the computers do thinking and neurons are what's in our brain. So neural network is the idea that computers can think and process things and learn things. The first paper was written in 1943. So that's 80 years ago. So AI has been around a lot longer than last year when ChatGPT came on the forefront. And right, Sonic's been around longer than ChatGPT. So let's dive into it.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Yeah, we are going for it. So one of the things that, I think is helpful, because I do see a mix of levels of understanding when it comes to like SEO and utilizing it. You mentioned something important, which is, whether or not SEO is even a good fit for a company. So what are some of the things that you consider when you're thinking about SEO? Like when is the right time to start implementing and thinking about a higher level SEO strategy? And where's an easy kind of entry point?
So at a very simplistic level, their exercise I go through with every person and every company I talk to, I ask them about their customer. So if I just got out of a meeting with a real estate investor. So I asked him, who is his customer? Who is his web customer? And his web customer is one of three kinds of people. So person number one, he's a real estate investor. So he wants other investors. So other investors would be finding him and then participating in purchases and deals with him. Do those people use the internet to find deals? No, probably not. They're not going to go Google and say, I just got an inheritance from my great aunt. I'm sitting on $50,000. Who can I give my $50,000 to turn it into 100? They're not Googling that. They're absolutely not going to go and, Google invest money and click on a random link and write a check. Second audience for his business is buyers. So he owns properties and he would like to offload those properties to other people when he has finished his whatever processes he has. Buyers are not going on Google specifically to find his website and saying, who could I go and find and buy property from? They go on Google and they look at broader platforms like Zillow and Redfin, but they're not going to him. The third audience for him is sellers. So potential people that he could buy buildings from. Most real estate investors that are good at what they do are buying properties from people who are not necessarily in the market to sell in the way they want because they're looking for, on profit. So the sellers of the properties may not be looking to sell. They may not, or they may be sitting on the property thinking about selling, but really not actively going out there to sell. So they're not going on Google saying, I have a property to sell. Who is going to buy this property? Oh, I found this real estate investor. So for all three potential audiences of his business, SEO would make sense. But the funny thing is, this person told me that he had an SEO agency that he was paying $5,000 a month for, $60,000 a year over multiple years. And as I go through this calculation with him, there was zero way that he could ever break even on that $60,000. Now he may get lucky, but in business, you don't invest for luck. Now, there are a lot of other things that you could do as a business, in SEO matters. So for example, he has a course. So he has a course where he teaches real estate investors how to invest and how to think about their businesses. SEO makes sense. And I see people all over the country here. So someone in Seattle, and this person is in California, may be Googling and say, where do I learn from smart investors? Oh, I found a course on this person's website. SEO makes sense there. But how much you spend on SEO should also make sense. Think about how you're going to profit from that. So if the course sells for $5 and you have an SEO agency that costs you $5,000 a month, and that's probably not the only SEO expense, you have to sell 1,000 courses a month just to break even on that agency. Should you be spending $5,000 a month? Now that's where, of course, Rates On It comes in. They're a lot cheaper. So if you're just writing content about the course, that's probably profitable. So that's where I go through this process of, does SEO make sense? Should you be investing in SEO? Now, the other part of your question is, when should you invest in SEO? So if you are going to be a huge company, let's say you're in e-commerce. Now, most companies I talk to that are in e-commerce, if they're startups, e-commerce, of course, makes sense for SEO. I would imagine that most of Amazon's revenue comes from SEO. Or obviously repeat business, but initially comes from SEO. So if you're in e-commerce, SEO makes a lot of sense. But initially, SEO doesn't make any sense because you don't have the rankings, you don't have the visibility where you're now going to break even. So you could be spending $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, and you're probably not going to break even for a long time because you really need to grow and you need to grow that base and you get the referrals going. So in that case, you might want to do some other things like paid. Or I never heard of Temu before this past year's Super Bowl, but now everyone knows about Temu because they spent probably hundreds of millions of dollars on that, right? Each minute was, I think, $4 million, $5 million, but then you have all the costs of like building ads. So $100 million easily on all the ads they had. Now they grow and now they can think about doing SEO. And by the way, their SEO isn't that big, right? They're new, so their SEO footprint isn't that large when you compare them to even eBay, which doesn't have the greatest SEO footprint now. So when should you do SEO? Well, if I were Temu, I wouldn't really do SEO now, but I wouldn't screw up SEO. So that's the calculations. Like, you should probably do SEO 6 months before you need it. but you don't necessarily know what it is, so never screw it up. So hard question to answer for, broadly speaking, but SEO, only do it if it makes sense for the business you're doing and could be profitable for the business you're doing. And then don't invest in it. Like, for example, should you hire an SEO manager? An SEO manager is going to cost you anywhere from depends where you are, but $60,000 to $400,000. When should you hire the SEO manager? Well, certainly not before you have 40 hours of work for the SEO manager.
Got you. Okay. So I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. So I know you can go very deep and vast on this content, but I'm going to rewind us back. I'm going to rewind us back a little bit because we have some folks who are very new to the space in here. So what is SEO? It's most like how do you define SEO?
That's like the most loaded question, Sarah.
I know. That's why I was like, how do you define instead of, okay, so let me start here. SEO is search engine optimization. For anyone in here who didn't know. Oh yeah. Okay. So starting from that basic point, search engine optimization. Why do I, as a business owner, need to think about search engine optimization?
All right. So the reason I say it's a loaded question is because I think most people use SEO wrong. They use SEO as a verb, as an action that they're taking.
Like I'm doing SEO.
I'm doing SEO.
Okay.
Now, I think SEO is more like a passive thing. So the best thing about SEO is a similar word to SEO and a similar word to search traffic is the word organic. What does organic mean? So I don't know if we have any farmers here. I'm not a farmer. I don't grow my grass, right? But I eat products that come from farms. So I know a little bit. When you have something organic, you can't do something to make the perfect pepper. Every single pepper on the bush or tree or whatever it is going to look different. And that's a natural process. It has to do with the sun and the water and all the things in the soil. Organic traffic is the same thing. So you do stuff, but the outcome is out of your hands. So the way too many people refer to SEO is this thing, I put this input in, and then here's what it spits out automatically. It's the furthest thing from automatic possible. So I think of SEO as a passive process, which is I have a website. How do I optimize this website and position myself that I'm going to get the most, not traffic, most revenue possible? Too many people, again, they focus on the wrong metrics where I am going to get traffic. I'm going to get rankings. Rankings don't matter unless somehow you get paid for how often you show up on Google. Only thing that matters is revenue. So you do this passive process of you optimize the website you have, you understand the customer you have, and you build the content for the customer you have. And then a bunch of other stuff happens. Google crawls the website, Google ranks the website, the user does a query, the user clicks on the link, they consume the web page, they find the call to action, they get to the end of the call to action, which is, maybe if they're buying e-commerce, they add it to the cart, they go to the cart, they put their credit card in, they click buy, now they bought, right? So many things have to happen. It's not like paid where you put the money in, the ad shows, you pay for the click. This is this passive process. So when I think of SEO, I think of it as positioning, I think of it as understanding, much less action oriented than any other channel. So at its nature, search engine optimization. I am understanding the search engine's rules. I am understanding the users who are going to be going on the search engine. I am understanding my product, and I'm melding that all together to optimize for that user.
That was a perfect definition. I know, really at the finite basis, and you hit on so many great things here, but you could be creating content that's not for your buyer. You could be ranked really well on Google, but that doesn't mean you're actually successfully converting revenue. And I think that's why this product-led SEO part of things is the game changer. So now moving into product-led SEO, kind of giving a high level overview of what SEO is. So how do you approach, let's go a couple steps back. I've optimized my website. I feel like I have a general understanding of who my buyer is and what they're searching and what keywords I'm going to target with my content. Where do I go next? How do I think about leveling up my SEO game to be extremely product-led focused and iterate from there?
So the reason I call it product-led SEO is because the product, you're doing SEO for the product. The product is, you're building a product for the user. So the way most people do SEO, and again, I said it's sort of wrong because they're doing this action. The way most people do SEO is they're doing SEO for the search engine. So here are the rules of the search engine. I'm going to create content for the search engine. I'm going to create content because I think users will search on the search engine. But I think that's wrong because the ultimate outcome of this process is revenue. So instead, I like to build a product for the search engine user, not for the search engine. So I'm doing SEO with a product. Now, a product could mean a website. A product could mean an experience. A product could mean a movie. It could be whatever it is, but I'm building a product for the search user. So in my book, the two examples I use, which are my favorite examples to always talk about, are Zillow. So I see we have global users. So if for those that don't understand Zillow, first of all, you can go to Zillow.com. You will not get rejected. There's some websites where you go to it and they're like, sorry, we don't accept users from your country. Zillow is not one of those. So Zillow.com, they have the addresses of every single property in America, and they have information about that address. Now, the way Zillow monetizes is with the things you do on real estate. So they monetize by helping you get a mortgage. They monetize by finding you a broker, even finding home service providers to like fix your windows. Now, the product Zillow built is only for SEO users. And they created an entire category for SEO users. So prior to Zillow creating this, Zillow wanted to make money from mortgages. So they could have said, we'll make a lead generation website. But instead, what they did was they built this entire product that did not exist, information about every single address, commercial and residential, in the entire America. And then when you get this information, and again, the only way to get this information is from a search engine. You can't do advertising for individual addresses. There's just not enough search volume. You can advertise your homepage and then get people to search, but they're not going to search until they know it exists. So they built this entire product out of SEO for SEO. The second example, and this one is global and everyone will understand it, is TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor's entire product is reviewing properties, hotel properties and restaurant properties around the entire world. Now, it wouldn't be profitable, and they monetize by getting you to reserve. Now, it wouldn't be profitable to advertise for any individual property on Google or Facebook or whatever, because again, not enough search volume. So they created an entire product for the search user. Now we're going back 10 years because 15 years before they had competition. Now there's a lot of competition here. This entire product is for the search user because the only way you're going to get reviews is by going on Google. And now by TripAdvisor existing, you discover it. Wow, there's reviews here. This is great. Now I'll check other reviews. Now I understand this property. I'm going to default go to TripAdvisor to see reviews without even going to Google. Now I love this product. I'm going to put more of my own reviews about hotels. So this is a product for the search user, and that is how they monetize that. So that's why I consider product-led SEO. Now I think, again, many companies SEO doesn't make sense, but if SEO does make sense, that is when you build a product for that user, and you're building something for the user. You're not building something for the search engine. So going back to, is it a website? Is it a glossary? Is it a movie? You're building something for what the user is seeking, and that is how you drive the organic traffic. And if you think about the profit potential and the revenue potential for a product like Zillow, Zillow still really doesn't have competition. So they built something, they invested it, and they own that market. TripAdvisor has competition, but they buy and away the market leader on every single geo, on every single property in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that competes with knowing your user in and out. And I think that's what this really hits on, is understanding the problem beneath the problem. You've got this end result of, I want to sell this thing, but very, very rarely is the person going into a search engine and searching, I want to buy this thing. There are several different problems or barriers before they get to that process. And that's what you have to figure out. So I love the two examples you gave. Those are both great examples to reference, guys, if you're trying to deconstruct this for your own purposes. I want to move along to now, let's say I've already got this down. I've got a product. Now I'm trying to market online, but I have to constantly create new content, new blogs. I have to keep up with people's questions, all the market research that's coming in on my socials. How do I utilize AI to help me along this process and accelerate the output to help, obviously to help upsurge in traffic, visibility, all of these great things?
So it depends what you mean by AI. So when I think of the content to create, I always think of the best content to create is the content that is the closest to conversion. So if your goal with SEO is revenue, and many people, certainly software websites miss out on this, the best conversion is your brand. So anything related to your brand. So for example, I worked at SurveyMonkey. Keywords like SurveyMonkey price was not something we initially owned, but when you can rank on a keyword like SurveyMonkey price, the conversion rate is going to be like 80%. Like not just the click-through rate, but the conversion rate is going to be 80%. So I think many people miss out on, you want to build the content that is closest to conversion. If someone is comparing you versus a competitor, that's really close to conversion. If someone wants to understand your features, that's really close to conversion. So rather than going, what are the 100 keywords related to my product, I want to think of, what are the 100 challenges? What are the 100 pieces of content that are the lowest hanging fruit that are going to drive conversion? You start there and then you expand outwards. So where can AI help? So AI can certainly help on research. You want to get all of the ideas. Now, I use Google Search Console to find the things that people are searching related to my product or my brand, and then make sure I have the appropriate landing page, make sure I have the appropriate content, the appropriate keywords, appropriate rankings. But you can use AI to expand on that. What are all the things related to conversion? What are the things that a human would look for if they're about to convert for Right Sonic, as an example, and then build content for that. Now, when it comes to writing content, you can, again, write the content. You can prompt it. I am this person. I'm about to pay for this. What do I need to know in order to make me pay? That's the way I'd use AI. Really, you're going towards the end. You're going towards the conversion. And that's where I would start.
Yeah, totally. One of the best things, or one of the things you said was one of the use cases I was talking about earlier, which is like, okay, right now I may know my customer and I can probably come up with 20 things, right? Like, what are 20 challenges for this particular person, customer who's trying to get to XYZ? AI can 10x that in a matter of seconds. And it will think about things that I have not yet thought about because it's correlating information from multiple sources. That is, to me, the supercharge. It literally is like a brain supercharge, right? So when we're thinking about you mentioned prompting, what are some additional use cases you would use to kind of supercharge your efforts with SEO? I gave some examples for podcasting earlier, but I'm curious to know, what are some of the ways that you're using AI?
So and this is one, I just not, before we get to the way I'm using AI, this is, I think, the biggest missed opportunity that comes right now from AI, which is, Sarah, you're in LA, so you are potentially a customer of Comcast. If you're not, then you're a customer of AT&T or something like that. So I recently canceled Comcast. It is impossible to get to a human. Even if you want to cancel, it's impossible to get to a human. Now, these kind of robo call answering chatbots online have existed for way before ChatGPT. But I think this is a huge missed opportunity by all the companies that are trying to hide from their customers. Use that data and use that knowledge to train your chatbot to understand users. So if I say I want to cancel, have that conversation with me. Why do you want to cancel? And now you train your chatbot. So instead of like, oh, it sounds like you would like to cancel, press 3 to go through this process. And then it's like, our lines are busy and they hang up on you. That's a terrible use of a chatbot. So that, I think, is the biggest way that we can really improve on customer relationships and building content and building conversion-oriented processes by using chatbots to have these interviews. So in all of my processes, whenever I'm building SEO, I want to talk to as many humans as possible, because then you find something out. And it's amazing the things that you learn from humans. So I see that some people are in Asia. So I spent 2 years in Asia leading marketing for SurveyMonkey. I went, and part of my role was I would meet with a lot of customers and I would ask them questions. So SurveyMonkey had a tool called the Net Promoter Score tool, which I don't know, for those who are familiar, it's when you allow people to say on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely they are to refer this company to a friend. So SurveyMonkey had this tool for many years. And I went to many interviews when I was responsible for this in Asia. And I would say, what are some things you think SurveyMonkey should do? And they would say, you should really make a Net Promoter Score tool. And we already had this tool. So by learning that, I discovered that they didn't know that. And that's a marketing gap. And that's something you can create. So I think there's so many things you can learn from your customers. Another thing is, we spent millions of dollars while I was at SurveyMonkey creating surveymonkey.co.uk. So for all of the UK customers, I don't know if it still exists, millions of dollars. It's very expensive from like an engineering time perspective. I went to the UK to do customer interviews, and I asked all the people I met, do you trust SurveyMonkey more because we have surveymonkey.co.uk? And they're like, come again? You have what? So they didn't even know. We did this thing and they didn't even know. So I think you get so many insights by actually talking to real customers. So how can you use AI? Well, it's hard to talk to a lot of customers, but let AI interview your customers. It can ask follow-up questions and make sure you incorporate that knowledge and it flows through and you build around it. So that's one of the ways that I am using AI to have these conversations, to when I can, to have these conversations and learn from, in this case, it's fake customers. Like, what would a mom in Madison, Wisconsin, what would they search? What are the things they need to do to convert? The other thing I'm doing with AI is I'm trying to create as much content as possible with the most detailed prompt and say, like, these are the tones I want. And again, AI extends way beyond Sonic and extends way beyond ChatGPT. For those that are using, like, there's a really cool tool in Gmail. I think you have to opt in beta, where it will say, like, you write something and then it will give you the option of elaborate. So I apologize, Sarah and Sarah. I like to be really, really short on my emails. So if I want to be more polite, so I can write something like, I don't have the right Zoom link, and then I can say elaborate, and you can say, dear Sarah, I hope you're doing well and you're enjoying the lovely sunshine today. I'm missing the Zoom link. Would you pretty please send me this? Like, it can extend on that. So like, these are all ways that we can be better and use AI. So there's so many ways, and it's just, we're living in an amazing time. And unfortunately, I think people are trying to abuse it. I mean, like, oh, cool, now I don't have to spend $5 for a terrible piece of content. I can just spit it out with AI. So like, don't do that. There's so many more ways to be interesting and learn from your customers and help convert, because that's the reason businesses exist.
Yeah, totally. And, to your point, we were talking about the tone part of it earlier. And that is something that I really lean on AI for, is to help me with tone. I'm a pretty direct person. So it is nice to have a tool that will help me identify different tones and help me come across the way that I'm looking to come across with a client. And I love that integrating that into a chatbot, just like you said, that can also help you shape the tone of your business, right? Like, I want our interactions to be witty, or I want them to be funny or cheeky, or whatever the tone is you're looking for. So I love that, that kind of synopsis you gave of a chatbot, and it makes tons of sense. I'm a huge market research person, so I can tell. I'm like, no way, you surveyed people at SurveyMonkey? Of course. One of the biggest opportunities is researching your customers at length and coming up for deeper understanding of what they might be facing. So when you think about, like, heightening your visibility online, I know this is what everybody wants to know, right? Everybody wants the secret sauce or the secret cheat code, but there isn't one. But when you think about trying to heighten your visibility online, and combining the use of the tools we have available, what comes to mind for you to supercharge your efforts initially? I've got a basic SEO strategy. I'm trying to get some great conversion. I feel like I'm kind of tuned into who I'm talking to. What should I be thinking about next to implement? What are some strategies?
So again, I want to keep everyone away from this idea of like content equals rankings. And I saw some of the questions that we have on the doc of, audience questions. Everyone is looking for some silver bullet. And the best thing about SEO is that there's no silver bullet. So when it comes to like paid marketing, this is years ago, so I have no idea what it is right now. But when it comes to paid marketing, you can just outspend. So I remember hearing, and this is again probably about 5 years ago, that Uber spent $1 billion a year on paid marketing. That's an insane amount of money. But if you have like a lot of money, you can buy your way to market share. But when it comes to SEO, you can't buy your way to market share. So many companies try to buy their way to market share with SEO, and you can't. So like, don't stumble down this road of like, well, now I've leveled the playing field because I can use AI to just create a lot of content and now I'll acquire a lot of users. Well, everyone else can do the exact same thing. And just, move away from AI tools for a second, keyword research. So keyword research, there are a couple, the biggest, most popular tools for keyword research are Ahrefs and SEMrush. They cost, I think, $149 a month. Anybody with $149 a month gets the exact same ideas you get. So if all you're doing is going to keyword research, getting the top words in your niche, and then going to Write Sonic or ChatGPT or Gmail's Elaborate to write content, that's not a secret sauce. There's no silver bullet. So if you're looking for a silver bullet towards visibility, anything that you can find, your competitors can. Now, there are some things you can do that are black hat and gray hat. By all means, do that and get caught and then make a lot of money in the meantime. The goal is making a lot of money, so you can do that. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't do sneaky affiliate stuff. Again, as long as you're not stealing and hiding from your customers until Google punishes you because you make revenue. So if you're looking for visibility, the more you understand your customer, the more you can appeal to your customer on your website, the more visibility you'll generate. Now, it's sort of like this field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Yeah. If you write a lot of content, they will not necessarily come. But if you write a lot of content to your users, they will sort of come. So the more you understand what exactly your users are looking for, how you can help them, the more they'll tell their friends, the more they'll come back to your website. Again, thinking of TripAdvisor as an example, it started, I think, 20 plus years ago as this idea of like, let's get a couple of reviews. And then someone says, oh, this is a great place to go and write my review. Or Yelp, right? So like, you start this process and then the flywheel builds, and really think about, what am I building for my customer? Not what's my secret hack to get 10,000 pieces of content up today.
Love it. Totally. It's, the analogy I use is building the plane in the air. You should always be thinking about your product and that it's a plane being built in the air. And so should the strategy. As far as I'm implementing a base level strategy, but I'm consistently listening to my users and the questions that they have and the challenges that they're facing. And then I can tap into my AI friends to help me, run down a couple of paths for content ideas. There is the chat has blown up with questions, and normally I wouldn't cut us off cold turkey like that, but there are so many questions for you, and I feel like we should just jump right in and start answering some of these. Is everybody
let's
down?
do it. I'm going to try to answer them as fast as possible. Alex said I talk too fast. I'm going to answer them fast and then just listen to the recording on slow speed so we can get to all of them. I'm so sorry for showing up late. I haven't had a Zoom issue in a long time.
It happens every time, right when you're about to hop on Zoom. So here, how do search engines, I feel like this is the big question. How do search engines like Google and Bing interact with AI generated content?
So when we say interact, are we talking about Google recognizing that it's AI? I'm going to assume that's the question, because
I think it is.
Okay. It doesn't really matter whether the content's AI written, as long as it's useful for users. So I'd say I've seen a lot of AI content and you're like, oh, that's clearly AI generated content. Google has their own AI, so they can recognize AI content. Now, if you have AI content and it's helpful for users, and there's a couple places where AI content has existed for a long time, sports. So there's a lot of websites that write up sports scores and they just kind of populate it. It's like this happened here, this happened the first inning, this happened the first quarter, and all that. It doesn't really matter because users are benefiting from it. But if you're, or in the other place it works is in finance. So you take like an analyst report, distill it down, and write out AI. If a user reads it and you pulled out something from a PDF, instead of reading the PDF, they read this article, that's helpful and useful. If all you're doing is summarizing content that was unuseful and you did AI and it was the exact same way you would have done it with like Fiverr or Upwork, there's no difference. They hate bad content, regardless of whether a bad human or a bad AI wrote it. So that's what I would say is like, how useful is this? If like you shared this with your friend or your family member and they would say, this is terrible. Well, it's probably terrible. Google recognizes it too. They have AI. And just for context, I don't know if it still exists, but like in advanced search within Google, they have something called reading level, and it's existed for 10 years. Google reads and understands the words that are used. Grammarly, the tool for correcting grammar, it understands what age level you're at. Like this is not genius level AI stuff. They can understand it if it's spamming content.
Totally. How has AI changed the process of like keyword research? Has it at all?
I hate keyword research. I'm like one of those people that I don't think anybody should be doing keyword research. I think you should be doing user research. When I started my SEO career, you needed to do things like I worked for an automotive content startup, and we need to do things like use the word auto and car and vehicle and cars, and it changed. And now it doesn't matter. I see so many websites. Like this is an example, like the word software versus platform. So, when you Google something, Google bolds the word you searched. So if you search the word software platform, like AI writing platform, and Write Sonic use the word AI writing software, Google would bold software, regardless of whether you searched it or not. So again, some people get too focused on keywords. Like this is the exact word I need to use it 6 times. It doesn't matter because synonyms count, similar words count, not even if they're synonyms. So I really hate when people get too dug in on keywords. I much prefer to like ask questions, and AI can help you do it. Like, what would, again, a mom in Madison, Wisconsin do? What would a grandfather in Chicago do? And take the words that they use, and those are my keywords. And that's how I incorporate it, rather than like, let's use the word automobile just to make sure the person that doesn't search car, I also capture them too.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I didn't know where you were going with that. At first I was like, oh, wow. Okay. But yeah, completely agree. Like, can you share some examples of like some AI tools you use for SEO or content marketing, some of your go-tos?
My favorite go-to is Google. So like you go on Google and you write something and then you just don't hit enter and you see what it suggests. Like, I love that. The other thing that I do is I use Google Assistant. So like I'll go on Google and I'll speak something and it's amazing, and I watch it in real time. So I'll say like, what's the best AI writing software? But then you slur it like you're drunk, and then you watch it be like, what's the best beer? And then it just keeps changing. It's like, oh, AI writing platform. You're like, well, platform is the word to use instead of software. So I love doing that. I mean, I think the other tools are too static. One that I don't think enough people use is SimilarWeb. So they have a free tool and they capture more search volume, and they don't sanitize it as much. But Google Trends, like, I love that. Another thing you can do, again, the reason I love Google as a keyword research tool is when you go on Google and you type things, you see those people also ask. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but people also ask is not grammar or spell corrected. So like you'll see things that are really strange, but those are really strange at scale because they don't put people also ask just because one person asked. So that means a lot of people had that typo, or a lot of people had that grammar mistake, or a lot of people had that. And like you really, again, if you're a market researcher, I love getting to the heads of potential customers. And AI is a way, because again, generative AI has learned from content that has existed, and you're getting into the heads of and summarizing all the content exists. Now, one thing I would caution is we'll get to this point. So Nissim Taleb, who's the writer, he wrote Anti-Fragile and Black Swan, he referred to generative AI as a self-licking lollipop. So eventually we'll get there, but we're not there yet. So for now, like AI is summarizing all the human written content, but eventually we'll get to the point where AI has summarized all the human written content, and then AI has summarized all the AI content.
Yes. So speaking on that, how can we use AI tools in our writing process now before we get to the lollipop?
Don't let AI write for you. You have to edit it.
You have to edit it. Yeah, we totally talked about that at the beginning. What are some of the ways that you could speed up your writing with AI? Like, what are some of the ways that you use it in your writing specifically?
So you have to come up with the best seed. And I shout out, the only thing I care to advertise is please subscribe to my newsletter. So you can find that on my site. So it's product-led-seo.substack.com. I do not write my newsletter with AI. I have tried and it bores me. I really like writing. So now I can use AI to come up with ideas and to come up with lists if I'm really good about prompting. And then it gets me closer to like, this is something I want to edit. But if I say, write me 1,000 words on why SEO is important, it comes out with not my voice. And I like to write on my own. But if I can say, give me 6 ideas that newbies to SEO might want to know about, and I would answer Heidi's question. Newbies that somebody doesn't know the difference between black hat and white hat. So give me 6 differences between black hat and white hat. Now I have 6 differences where I might have spent a really long time Googling to find those 6 differences. Heidi, black hat is when you're doing things that are like against the term. So like that would be hacking. White hat is when you're being above board and as clean as possible. Gray hat is when you're kind of a mix of both. So if I would write an article about that, I would love to get ideas, but then edit it completely. I don't want to take any paragraphs from it. I really like my own writing process.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a great point, and we talked about it earlier. And I think it kind of goes into this next question. Like, how does SEO and AI help in niches where the market is saturated, like a CRM niche or like email marketing, or you're doing SEO? Like, how can you help differentiate yourself, using AI?
So that's product-led SEO. So AI is just a tool for writing. So if you were in a saturated space before, so let's go back 2 years and you were in crypto. Now no one's in crypto anymore. Everyone's in AI. So we're good. But let's say you were in crypto and there were a lot of people that were in crypto and it was a saturated space. So if you wanted to be in crypto, you would go on Fiverr, you go on Upwork, and you'd write a lot of thin kind of content about this is Bitcoin and this is Ether and this is like all these things. Great. So now it's 2023 and you can do that with AI. You can write a lot of AI content. But if you wanted to do product-led SEO, product-led SEO is always a differentiator. So now you would go to your users and say, why would you use crypto? I want to use crypto because I want to hedge against Armageddon. I want to use crypto because I don't trust the government. So now you have the seeds of content. So instead of just writing another article about what is Bitcoin and saying the last article is 1,500 words, so mine's going to be 1,501. Now you have these new ideas of the people that really want Bitcoin are really scared of Armageddon, or they're really scared of the government, or they're really afraid that gold is going to disappear or something. And now you can use AI to build on what you've already learned. So AI doesn't really change anything. And if all you're doing is writing content in a saturated space, what changes things is product-led SEO. And not to shill my own thing, but what changes things is to really understand the user, your user, and to build around that user. And it doesn't matter whether you write it or AI writes it, as long as you've written for your user. And keep in mind, every space is saturated until it's not, right? So like, the real estate space was completely saturated for Zillow because everyone was in mortgage, and Zillow said, you know what people don't understand around mortgages is they don't understand the property value. We're going to build that. So that's called blue ocean. So I call that blue ocean SEO. Is really you're going somewhere where no one else is and you're creating a new space. So every space is saturated and every space is not, as long as you come up with what the user really wants, and not just what the user wants, what the user will profit on. So let's say in e-commerce is as saturated as possible. However, maybe there's an idea where you can deliver even faster than Amazon. So now that space is not saturated.
Yeah. Oh, I love the blue ocean. I'm taking that, and now I'm going to dive in so deep into your book for sure on that. There's still so many questions, and I know that you're pretty active online, but as we close out here, tell people, one, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you? And then two, what should we look forward coming out from you?
So you can find me on Google.
On Google.
So I talk to a lot of, I'm happy to stay extra as long as you guys want, but I talk to a lot of companies that want to do SEO for their personal site or for their company site. And what I remind them is that their goal with their site is to sell products or sell services, whatever it is. So it doesn't matter whether their site is ranking number one or whether another site is ranking number one, as long as that site is not taking away their traffic. So for example, in like your space, in the software space, G2 outranks a lot of websites. That's not ideal because now you have to pay G2 to get that click back. But when it comes to our personal brand, it doesn't matter to me whether you Google me and my personal website ranks number one or ranks number five, because everything that ranks 1 through 5 is still me. So if you find my Twitter, if you find my LinkedIn, if you find my book, right, those are all me, and they're sort of doing the same thing, giving you a way to get in touch and see the offerings I have. So I don't care to build links to have my own website be number one. Why would I swim upstream? And I say the same thing to many personal brands and to many websites, where they'll work so hard to make sure they rank number one. They'll buy so many links and they do so many shady things even, and they still can't guarantee it. Use those resources to rank on something else and to get SEO somewhere else. So going back to your question, Google me. You can find anything you're going to find on Google will hopefully be me. And the other thing I would love is, again, sign up for my newsletter. That's my new way of communicating. I'm essentially blogging, not selling anything there, and writing things around the things I'm doing. And what can you expect from me? I'm working on another book around market research. So it expands on this idea of really building something for a customer and not building something for a platform. It's like building something for Google. And what I would say is, like, anybody that's building things around Google, the rules of Google are like imminently going to change. Like with Google, with SGE, search generative experience, everything you've known about Google is about to change overnight. So if you've been focused on backlinks and content stuffing and all the things you've done, everything changes. But if you focus on users, like what does the user who picks up their phone and goes on Google, what does the user that goes on their computer and types something in Google, what is it that they're looking for? It really doesn't matter whether they do it through SGE or Bing or ChatGPT. It's all about the user that is the other end of that search experience.
Completely. I mean, if you didn't get that part of this webinar, then you got to replay the whole thing and listen to it over. The user, that is the focus. That is the hack. It's not a quick hack. It's not by any means, but that is the differentiators, understanding your user at such a deep level. Eli, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today. I am definitely going to send over some of these questions, so maybe they'll give some of your next writing inspiration for your newsletter. But everybody's, go subscribe for Eli's newsletter. I did see as well there is a promotion going on for Write Sonic today to get 20% off if you were in the webinar. So please, if you're on the fence about trying out the tool, you should definitely do it. Any last words, either of you?
Definitely check out Write Sonic. I was introduced to it by you guys. Like, I love it. It is a super helpful tool, and I'm going to continue using it. So use that discount.
Absolutely. And for people who are staying till the end of the webinar, we just don't want to let you go like that. But we're going to do another giveaway. And on this webinar, please comment one key takeaway that you learned from today's session. Was it about using human as editing, or was it about some SEO tip that you learned during this webinar? Comment one key takeaway that you've learned, and Eli will choose the winner.
Oh, Eli.
Yeah. Eli, it's on you. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I love these comments. What do we do if everyone's saying the same thing? I think we nailed it, that everyone cares about the user.
We just have to choose one. But if you like one more answer, you can choose two as well.
I really like Yusef's. Oh, wait. We got more coming in.
Yes. We're going to stop in 3, 2,